Hi guys, Josh Hopwood here. For those of you who don't know me, I am a real estate agent and investor in Northern Colorado, as well as one of the hosts of the Northern Colorado Badass Investors Groups. Now, COVID has really slowed us down on being able to meet together and help each other out with our investing. So, what I've been hoping to do is to create some short, relevant videos where I go out and interview experts on topics that you want to know about. I'm hoping to keep these around 15 minutes or so. That way you can go find the video or topic that you want. And it doesn't take a lot of time just to watch it and get the information. But I would really love some help from you. I really want to know the topics that you want to learn about. This will help me keep things relevant to you, and then I can then go out and find the experts in that field and interview them, ask them the questions that you would ask them if you were in front of them. So comment down below, reach out to me on Facebook, and let me know those topics you want to learn about. Earlier, I had the pleasure of sitting down with my first guest, Brad Weed, to talk about cost segregation. I'm excited to have him on because he's really knowledgeable in this field. Now, many of you rental investors know about the powerful tax breaks and the advantages that come from holding on to rental properties. But as I learned about cost segregation, I found that many rental investors don't know about this powerful tool that can save them even more on taxes. So Brad fills us in on what cost segregation is and how you can take advantage of it. So let's get to our interview. All right. Well, today I have Brad Weed with me, coming from Fort Collins, Colorado, or from the tundra, the Great White North.
Pretty cold this week.
What?
Pretty cold this week.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's true. And you got the Aurora Borealis behind you.
Oh yes.
Shining.
Yes.
So Brad, talking about cost segregation, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into investing.
Sure. So my name is Brad Weed. I was an engineer and I worked in supply chain for a long time, and I was buying a few rental properties over the years, and then later I switched to full-time real estate in 2017, where full-time fix and flipper, real estate agent, and real estate, all-around real estate investor.
And now you do like cost segregation. You actually loan hard money to fix and flippers. So you are the guy that helps investors do more.
Yeah. So I still fix and flip a property here and there, but it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and you can do it with a lot of leverage. But running many simultaneous flips is a lot of work. And so a year ago, I was running 5, 6, 7 flips simultaneously, where I had a whole board full of acquisitions, a whole board full of under renovation, and a whole board full of dispositions. It was great for what it was. But that's a job. That's a really full-time job. And so I still do flips when they make sense. But my entire picture now is more on the rental property side, where I manage my own rentals to take advantage of decades of future appreciation and pay down and rent and tax advantages. I do a lot of hard money lending, where I arrange financing for fix and flippers and investors for 1031s and Airbnbs and rental properties and fix and flips. And then one big part of my job. So because I'm networked with all these different people, it makes a lot of sense for me to also offer cost segregation. So I'm a salesperson for CSSI, which is I think the oldest and biggest cost segregation service provider in the country. And so cost segregation is a way to, instead of depreciating your property over a long time, like residential is 27.5 years and commercial is 39 years. So instead of waiting all that time to depreciate your property and get those tax benefits. Um, we do photos of the entire property, blueprints, do an engineering based breakdown where they break down how much of this is concrete and foundation, how much of this is framing, how much of this is windows, how much of this is drywall, how much of this is the paint on the drywall and the trim and the carpet and the roof and the landscaping and the driveway and everything else, the HVAC system. Break it down into these categories, recategorize the depreciation schedule to something much faster. So instead of 27.5 years or 39 years, you could take maybe 25% of the value of what you paid for that property, and you could take it over 5 years or 15 years. And with changes due to Tax Cut and Jobs Act, you could actually bonus depreciate and take it immediately. So to give you a couple, so this used to only make sense with $1 million buildings because these studies were really expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and the cost has really come down now. So, like a recent example that I did was an 84 unit, um, uh, just apartment building, and the benefits are expected to be like a $300,000 write-off against 2020 for taking, that's maybe 20% of what that building was purchased for, and getting that as an immediate write-off against active income for a real estate professional that owns it. So there's some cool benefits. So for me personally, for my 2020 taxes, I'm doing cost segregation studies on 2 of my rentals that I bought last year, and I'll get about a $50,000 write-off each. And the study isn't that expensive. So the benefits are huge. So I can take that against active income. It's benefits I would have gotten if I waited long enough, but I can have them now. So it's just a lot less taxes I'll have to pay for 2020. And then I can invest that money for years. As a real estate investor, it's great having a lot of opportunities where you can put your money in places and make a whole lot better than a CD.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll have hopefully a decade of investing the money I would have paid in taxes before I choose to sell those properties.
Mm.
So there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, it sounds like it, to break something down and take it immediately. I mean, many of us got into real estate investing for some of the tax advantages. And so who have you seen kind of benefit the most from this from cost segregation?
So if you don't pay a lot of taxes, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It can still postpone the taxes you do pay, but the return on investment is going to be a lot lower. So if you really want to avoid taxes and you don't pay a ton of taxes, it still can be good, make sense. But what really makes sense is when you're in these really high tax brackets, or you're in a state with really high tax brackets on top of it. So if you're paying, in the 30, 34, 35% federal bracket, plus you have state taxes. So Colorado is a flat 4.62% income tax for the state, but there are other states like New York and California and Minnesota and a dozen others that have really high taxes. And so if you're paying a lot of taxes, this makes the ROI is even better. And then real estate professionals. So if you designate on your taxes that you're a real estate professional, there's a number of little rules, but generally if you spend more than half of your time in real estate, you probably meet all these rules. Then you can do unlimited losses. This appears as a loss. You're writing off this big loss of now instead of over the next 27 and a half years or 39 years. And if you are not a real estate professional, then you can roll over those losses. But as a real estate professional, like I plan to take $100,000 paper loss on these properties this year against my active income because I'm a real estate professional.
Mm.
So that's where it really pays off. It still makes a lot of sense. Also, like C corps can make sense. If it's a business owning property, I see like Starbucks get these done, Target stores get these done, Amazon does this, Deloitte does this they actually hire our company to do them for many of their customers for big business. So if you got a dozen gas stations, it still makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Our studying in not an RV park, but a mobile home park. that can make sense because there's enough. A lot of these have some deferred maintenance, and you can say, oh no, the sewer lines here, the pads, the water lines, the common areas, the building, these are not new when I bought them. We should not have to wait 39 years for these benefits. And you can say, oh, well, we're going to take this huge chunk of what we have. This is 15 years or faster. And then you can choose to just bonus depreciate it all immediately. It's just huge benefits.
Yeah, and that sounds like it. And like from what you're saying, because of the technology, the way it is now, it's not just big companies like Deloitte that actually can take advantage of this.
Mhm.
It's like the individual investor that can really take advantage of this now.
So like for a single family home, you're going to pay less than $3,000 generally. Sometimes it's something special, but generally less than 3,000, maybe less than 2,500, and you can get a $50,000 write-off. Pretty huge return on investment. For a bigger building, it may cost more, but the benefits scale with it, and so I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no,
There's another advantage if it's a building you're going to be renovating. Um, so let's say, simple example, you bought a building, it had an old roof, and you plan to replace that roof. Well, we do a cost segregation study, and we'll say, okay, that roof that you currently have has this much value to it, whatever that number is. And when you replace the roof, generally you depreciate the new roof over time. You get the tax benefit over time for the money that you spent. Um, with your accountant, you may be able to bonus depreciate that. You may be able to take the new roof faster. But why are you taking the old roof over 27 and a half years? It's already in the landfill. It's already gone.
mm,
So when you do a cost segregation study with CSSI, the every element of that home is given a value. And in future years, your accountant can say, oh, this roof is gone. We are going to write that off. We're not going to take that over 26 more years. We're taking that today. And your HVAC and all this flooring. Oh, you replaced the windows, all that different stuff. So it's not just the benefits of the money that you spent to fix it up that you get that tax reduction over time for the expense, but also the things that you paid good money for when you bought the property that have now been retired. It's called partial asset disposition to write those items off.
mm. Well, that's great. That's great. I'm sure a lot of, I mean, I talk to investors out there, and a lot of them don't know about cost segregation, which is the reason why we're shooting this interview. And I'm so happy to have you on as one of our first
And there's
guests.
a it's kind of a rabbit hole. There's a lot to know. So the
Hmm.
best and it's hard with just the general public information. It's hard to um, confine it to like, okay, for my property, what does that mean? So what I do is I do a free estimate
Mm,
for any property you want me to look at. So if you have one rental or if you have 100, I have a pretty simple form. It's like 5 questions about what you paid for it, what type of building, what you've done to it since then, when you bought it, and I can turn around a free estimate within 48 hours. Usually, I'll send you. It's like 9 pages, and you and your tax preparer can decide if it makes sense for you based on this estimate that is specific to your property. And it's
mm.
like pages 1 through 5 are about the study that you can purchase, and so it's a lot of relevant information about the process. The process takes 6 or 8 weeks from when they have all the information until they give you a report that you can use. Um, uh, so it's just plan ahead, and we can get them ordered up. But the best place to start is let's get an estimate for your property and see if it actually makes sense for you for your property, because otherwise it's not worth
Hmm.
spending your time trying to understand something that makes sense for somebody else or makes sense for you in 5 years from now, something like that.
So there, I mean, there is a cost to this. I mean,
Mhm.
free estimate, no obligation. You can kind of figure that out pretty quickly. But there is a cost to this, and but the benefits far outweigh the cost.
For many people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. So if people want to reach out to you and kind of find out more or get a free estimate, how can they do that?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. So Brad Weed, WEED. Just send me a message. If you connect and you don't put a message in there, I won't know what you need. So just connect with me, send me a message, say, hey, what's this cost segregation stuff? I have a property we want to look at. I can send you an email with the form, and it's all super fast and super easy and no obligation. So not much to lose. It takes less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, Brad. You've brought a lot of good information to a confusing topic, and so I'm super happy to have you on here as my first guest.
Yeah. Hopefully we can help a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Thanks.
Absolutely, Josh.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. If this has been any value to you, I'd love for you to consider hitting that like button, subscribing. It really does help me get more content out there and help more people. All right, thanks, and I'll see you guys next time.